What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Welcome to Saturday. Today, we are going to be recapping and going through the dirty details on the Hamvention Challenge. Back again for the second year. This is kind of like a scavenger hunt, but it's all ham radio questions and physical challenges that you have to solve to win. And it's only possible if you go to Hamvention. The winner this year was on the Zoom with us, along with his buddy who helped him out a lot. He won a ICOM 705 this year. Last year, we gave away a 7300. And who knows what we might give away next year. But we're going to tell you all the secrets, all the fun. So enjoy the memes, and we'll get started real soon. All right. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming out. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks for coming to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Our Saturday live stream after Hamvention, we usually try to do a recap of the Hamvention Challenge. So for a lot of you, this is going to be brand new news. So you didn't even know this was going on. And that's okay, because it's actually kind of by design. We make it so that you kind of have to look for it to get started on it. I know, right? We make it hard right from the beginning. But really quick, I got a couple of shout-outs to make before we bring our friends on. Go over to hamtactical.com if you'd like to get some merch, support the channel and the YouTubes. We've got a number of ham radio memes that my wife has put together, and she runs this website, so go check it out. She does a pretty good job over there, so thanks for checking it out. Now, my buddy, KM4ACK, Jason, go sub to him, by the way. He's linked in the description, but I'll drop his channel now. He is the mad scientist behind this whole thing. He is fantastic in coming up with these cool challenges. We've spent a lot of time brainstorming some of these things, and he's so technically oriented that it's like the perfect guy to work with on something like this. And we've had a lot of fun. But we brought in help this year. Zach from the Discord, the HRCC Discord. He joined us as kind of like our technical wizard, and he truly was, because a lot of what he allowed us to do was even better than what we did the years prior. So we're going to have some fun with them in a second, but want to give a big shout out. Make sure you go sub to Jason. Also, hey, I think he's out of stock right now. Wait, let me go back. But KM4ACK, he does have some kits. KM4ACK also makes kits that are available, and you can check them out in the link that I just dropped in the chat. Go check his stuff out. They're inexpensive. They're fun little kits, and you can do some cool stuff. Doesn't have the end-fed halfway. We'll ask him about that here as we get started. But yeah, so let's go ahead and say hi to our friends. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey, man. How are you?
I am doing well. Well, first, tell me about the kits. What's going on with the end-fed halfway kits?
Man, them things are still hard to keep in stock, but I should have more. I should have more next weekend. So
excellent. All right. Well, you guys go. Actually, I just realized I did a video build of that 4 years ago, Jason. It was 4 years ago that I built that thing on a video, which feels like only yesterday.
That's insane.
I know, right? It's crazy.
That's insane.
So let's go straight. So Jason is upper left corner, KM4ACK. Here's Zach, loyal, and right side is Michael, and Frederick, lower right hand side, is the one who won the 705. So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate you. All right. Jason, how did you cook up this idea? What is this idea? Give everybody the 30,000 foot level so people can understand what the heck we're talking about, because I think nobody knows what we're talking about right now.
Well, first of all, I do have to say thank you to Zach, because he was instrumental in handling the back end this year and advanced us way beyond where we started last year. But this was just a concept that I came up with to have some fun at Hamvention, and it's basically brain teasers that you've got to work your way through. There's roughly 9, 10, 11 of them, and they get progressively harder as you go through the puzzle.
They do indeed get harder.
Each of them can stand on their own, but you've got to answer one before you can get to the other one or the next one. And this year we were a little devious in introducing some red herrings as we went along. So
indeed. I'll make a quick shout out. Circle City Street Media. Yeah, we hear you, buddy. If you join us after this hour-long show, we're going to be doing another live stream called Hams Helping Hams, where we take questions live. While you're watching, go ahead and join us on the Discord, because we pull from the Discord for questions and whatnot. You can join us over there in the after chat, as we call it. Anyway, continuing on. So last year, how many challenges do you remember that we had, Jason?
I believe it's been 10 both years.
Oh,
it might have dropped to 9 this year. There was a technical glitch, if you remember, early on Saturday morning that forced us to remove one of the puzzles.
Yes. So there were technical difficulties.
I think it might have been just down to 9.
So how did maybe show that picture you had earlier on the how did someone get started in the challenge? I'm gonna pin your video here. So what is that, Jason? What are we looking at there?
Yeah, so what we did was we printed up about 50 copies of this and sprinkled these QR codes around the show at every vendor that I happen to have any kind of a relationship with. I begged them to let me just drop 1 or 2 of these on their table. And you have to be inquisitive enough to actually scan the QR code, which will take you to the HamventionChallenge.com website. So just getting into the game is kind of part of the challenge itself.
Oh, that's awesome. And very interestingly, we just got a super chat in the form of gifted memberships from Don, N5SKT, our friend. And one of the guys who got it was Mike N2MAK. Which, isn't he the other part of the trio that's not here right now? Yeah, so Mike ended up helping the Frederick and Michael to solve some of the later challenges. He got more active, so that's awesome that he got that. That's super cool. So thank you, Don. I appreciate it. Okay, so you pull out your phone. You're at Hamvention. And you're like, "What's this QR code?" And you scan it, and what you get is this website. Okay, and this is what kicks the whole thing off. It's very simple, right? It just says, "Welcome to the Hamvention Challenge. Thanks for playing. The game is over." That updates after we had a winner, which we did. And it was lovingly sponsored by ICOM. Ray Novak has been really, really supportive of our shenanigans that we try and pull at Hamvention. But let's say you started this, and you had 2 options. You could just click Get Started, but if you watch my video, well, I'll show you a quick little bit of this. Let's see what happens when I click
Hello and
this.
welcome to the
That's not going to be good enough. Let's go to YouTube for a second. Hamvention Challenge 2024. You might be completely confused as to what's going on, and some of you might have heard about this last year, and so you kind of already have a leg up on the competition. This is an annual challenge where we give you puzzle after puzzle, each one more devious and complicated and mentally challenging than the one before it, all to reach the end and win, this year, an ICOM IC-705. So that's repeating the intro, but this video walked you through creating a one-time pad. And so I did this whole demonstration of explaining what a one-time pad was, and if you took this training and actually decoded something at the end, which is, I believe, right there. It'll come up in a second. If you decoded that, you would get how many steps further into the challenge?
You jumped 2 puzzles. So you skipped the first 2 and wound up on the 3rd one.
Yeah. And if you were paying attention to what I said avail yourself of all the links, because Jason had this really funny idea. So if you go to the links here, and it just says other important details. And if you clicked on other important details,
stick around and we'll get right to it.
Josh, why do you always have to complicate everything with this crazy numbering and decoding and all of that? Can't you just tell the guys to go to mirrored.html and jump right to the clue that you're trying to give them? Enjoy, guys. 7-3.
So a little bit of a fun to kick things off there. But if you go back and you just click Get Started, it throws you right into the first challenge. You could have followed that little rabbit hole to get a bit further. But, hold on. I realized, let me go back to Zoom for a second while I fill this out.
Yeah, you can just throw some bogus information in there. So yeah, there was 3 different ways to get started in the challenge. Either click the Get Started link, which asks you for your call sign and then presented you with the first one. Mm-hmm. You could decode Josh's one-time pad and get to mirror.html, which is the 3rd piece or the third puzzle piece, or you could watch my 20-second video and take yourself to the same spot. So 3 different ways to get started in that challenge.
So the first challenge is just a simple website with an image. Let me see if I can embiggen this a little bit so you guys can read it there. But the clue on the top says hamventionchallenge.com/propername.html. Everybody in the chat, what's the proper name of that antenna? And be the real proper name. Already, right off the, of course, it was Mike. He knows. It's Yagi Uda. Yagi and Uda are both surnames for a Japanese professor and his TA. His TA's last name was Uda. Often people refer to it as just Yagi, but it's actually Yagi Uda, named after the two individuals. But anyway, so
now,
if you
wait a minute. Here's a funny part of this. If you notice in Mike's answer, he put a hyphen.
He did.
And I got called out on this from several people, like it should have been a hyphen. But if you look at the clue, proper name does not have a hyphen in it. So that actually threw a few people off. I found out later on Saturday.
Yeah. So if you did it, so if you put Yagi and then added Uda at the end of the URL. Oh, did I do it wrong? I think I added. What? How did I get that in there? Well, if you that's actually link, if you do it wrong, it rickrolls you. So that's another good one.
That was Zach's idea.
I like it. There you go. All right. So now it just says traffic bulletin and have a frequency in the input box, and so that was the Hamvention frequency for traffic. So if you type that in, right, that's how that one worked.
Correct. That one is 145.525 should be the answer.
Yeah. So you hit
submit. I had to go back and look at my notes.
Now, here you go. Next one, just a bunch of numbers, and it says find them. Anybody in the chat? What do you think we're...
Now,
you want to go to Michael and Frederick and ask them what they thought when they saw this one?
Yeah, because that would be a more interesting take on this.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first saw...
You're good. Keep going.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
So when we first saw those, the URL mirrored, they're usually a clue, the URL from the previous one, or you'll put I guess like a template of what the next one should be. So seeing that it was mirrored, it was like, these are probably booth numbers is what I first thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
When we were going through the booth, we had the ham guide pamphlet they were handing out, and there were no booths with that.
Right.
And
we did find one booth outside. Yeah. So I was looking through the horseshoe the horse track,
mm-hmm.
and I noticed that some of them were in 9,000s. And so I booked it to out there, and I was looking around for any signs. They had these little picket fence posts that had small numbers on them with signs. And I did find one. I went up to the gentleman running the booth, and I was like, this is going to sound kind of odd, but do you guys have anything going on with a scavenger hunt or a challenge? Do you have anything to give me? Is that any clue, anything? Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
He looked at me like I had 3 heads, but it was fine. He's like, no. And I'm like, you may have a couple other people coming out to you today, but I appreciate the help. So it wasn't that.
We didn't think the boost went that high, to be honest. That's why it worked out so well. But yeah, when you do Yagi Uda, the URL changes to mirrored. So actually I should just drop let me just drop the link in the I'll just drop the link in the video live so you guys can play along if you're on a computer. But yeah, so if you just bring up the regular page, let's see, where were we? There we go. So the URL is /mirrored.html when you type in yegi.uda. So you had to read the mirrored and then look at those numbers, and then that kind of changes the perspective, right? When did you guys figure that out?
That was, I don't know exactly what time, but it didn't take us a whole lot of time to figure out that it was the ICOM booths, because all of the booth numbers was ICOM section. And that was before was before 11. It was like
It was pretty much when I came back from the track. You were
Yeah.
sitting down and one of the bleacher areas, and you're like, I think it's something to do with mirrored. Give me a second. And you were just kind of looking at it, and then you realized it at that point, I think.
Mhm.
So
Then-
I was going to make a note on something, and I totally forgot because I got distracted by Mike mentioning Meshtastic, because that brought up another note I wanted to say. The one of the goals of the challenge is not to make you guys have to go buy stuff that you might not have already brought with you. So the entire challenge, and Jason is very... He believes in this rule, and he's like, nope, you got to have an HT. That's about the only thing we're going to require you to have. You guys got a little fancy, though, towards the end, which we'll talk about in trying to solve some of this stuff, because it sounds like you used a little bit of help, but that was the part I wanted to mention there. So no Meshtastic this time. So, well, hang on, Don. Don says no APRS. Hang on. Hang on.
Funny they mentioned that
Hey,
because
hang on. Yeah, go ahead.
last year I was there as well. Frederick actually didn't go to Hamvention last year. Me and N2MAK were looking around trying to figure it out last year.
Yep.
We were late. We didn't end up winning last year. But there was an APRS situation last year. So I remember trying to look for a call sign, and I downloaded a few APRS apps, and I was looking around trying to see those numbers. So in some ways, you almost are hurting yourself by assuming, and we'll talk more about that later, I'm sure. But you have to forget what you know almost in this challenge. So
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
So going back to one of the ground rules that I have is I don't want anybody to have to pay to play in this game. So I don't want you to be required to have an APRS radio that's going to set you back $400 or $500. The base for us is you can play this with a Baofeng if that's what you've got.
Yeah. Now, Frederick, when did you get started on the challenge?
I started the moment the doors opened. The N2MAK and W2MVP, they both went to you guys had a panel going on, and I was like, I know those codes are going to be around, so I'm going to go find one and I'm going to go dive in. And so I started, it was probably 9:05 when we started.
9:05, and just spoiler alert for a little bit towards the end, he went until 4:30 p.m. basically to finish it. So it was all day.
All day.
You missed out on a little bit of the show to make this work, but I guess you did walk away with the radio.
It was worth it, I think. We actually got to go play with the radio doing a POTA activation over the weekend, and it was amazing.
Oh yeah, I think I saw pictures of that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So going back then here, let's bring this back up. So yeah, these are booth numbers that are reversed. So if you copied the half of the 8 or the URL without the question marks, and you copy that and add it to the URL space, what's the next 3 letters? 5UX is Jason is showing me there. 5UX, and if we type that in, oh, I did. How did I do that one wrong?
You forget the HTML.
That's it. Yep. We're gonna see that a lot today, guys.
He's played this game before.
I know, yeah.
I'm still playing this game in my nightmares.
He's still hearing that fox when he goes to sleep.
That's really what it is.
The fox? Yeah. So there you go, everybody. The next question is famous CBS newscasters call. So who's got that one? Let's see if the chat is fast enough. Yeah, Mike definitely heard it a lot too, because he got brought in to do some DFing. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, it's Cronkite. Cronkite is the right answer here. But chat is not exploding with information. So what it is KB2GSD, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now there is a trap on this one too as well. So if you looked at the source code of the page, there was a trap in it. That if you typed in the call sign KI6NAZ, it sends you off on a different direction.
Should we do that? Let's go back and do KI6NAZ. So we'll put in my name, which I'm obviously not a anchor. Yeah, so there you go. You activated my trap card. All right. Easy one, right? Was this an easy one?
This was easy. Yeah, we downloaded Morse code translator,
Mm-hmm.
and it reads DTMF 0.
DTMF.
And this is the first time we wrote into MAKN because we all have the same Yaesu radio that we brought to the thing, and I have no idea how to do DTMF. So I was like, let's go get our buddy Mike. He's I guess the closest thing we have to an Elmer. He's amazing. And he helped us figure out how to do the DTMF into the radio, or after punching this in, the next step was using the DTMF code.
So if we do DTMF 0, why DTMF
.html.
I did. Oh,
but I think the
lowercase.
code is actually DTMF is what gets you through, not it drops the 0.
No, is it case sensitive?
Yes, all lowercase.
Yeah, it is. All right, so this one was something we kind of used last year. How did you guys get by on this one? An HT antenna measures.
So I remembered this one.
Okay.
From last year, we got stuck on this one last year on figuring out, what that, an antenna's measurement thing, and I had actually bookmarked the calculator we ended up using last year just in case it came up again this year, and sure enough, it did. So we punched in the number, and it gives you, what that measurement is most resonant on, and then we tuned to that frequency, and then that's, like I said, when we rounded up into MAK to help us do DTMF on the Yaesus, which is really complicated for an HT. So
you did the math here, which ended up giving you a frequency, basically, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then there's something else on this page. It's a little bit smaller, and underneath it, it says hashtag or pound 21. Which
So Josh, real quick, just for the rest of the people watching this, the way you get the answer on this is you take 234 and divide it by the length, and that will give you the frequency. It's a 400 megahertz frequency that we were using. That gave you the frequency that you needed in conjunction with that pound. What was that? Pound 21?
Pound 21, yeah.
Right.
So this is where the challenge starts to get real, in the sense that you now have to go play in the real world, because with that frequency and an HT and the ability to do DTMF, because remember, the URL's, the extension there is dtmf.html. If you type in hashtag 21 on that frequency correctly, something happens, right? And in this, do you want to mention it, Jason, or?
Well, it just gave you the next clue in the challenge.
Well, it's it plays though. It plays back a message.
Yeah, yes.
So we had a radio set up as a kind of like a simplex repeater, and if you DTMF'd into it, it would output a voice, and it would say the next clue, which you would then put into the URL bar. Right? That's that was kind of the trick there. How did you guys do with the DTMF part?
So this one, like last year, there was a similar situation last year, and I remember struggling with this a lot. Me and Mike, N2MAK, actually grabbed the user manual, the owner's manual to our Yaesu, and we were reading through it and trying to figure out how to do the DTMF tones, because that's not something we had ever done before. And we actually had to read the manual because we were calling out on the frequency. We weren't hearing anything. We heard other people calling out on the frequency. Nobody came back. We were like, we must be doing something wrong. So we finally last year figured it out, and it ran a message.
Yeah.
And this is where we got stopped last year. We lost, like, I think 2 or 3 hours last year, and we kind of stopped doing it. And we went and started looking around.
Right.
And then at the end, after somebody had won, we were like, maybe let's look into it. And we ended up finishing it last year.
Oh,
but
okay.
we were too late because of this. I think this is the part that it just took too long. But I remember doing it, and I knew it was a thing. And then Frederick started looking into it and figured it out.
You guys were right behind the winner last year.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Yeah, so the winner of the 7300 last year, you guys came in like second place from that, right? That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Okay, so yeah, if you typed it in, you got another clue. And what was the clue there, Jason?
I believe that one took you to aprs.html.
There we go.
I think it was white.html.
Oh, was it white?
I think it was white.
No?
No, it was, should have jumped you. We had to take white.html out of the game.
It's not APRS. So is it capitals? Nope.
APRS
Wait a
spelled
minute.
backwards.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. See, we can't even remember.
I'm looking at my cheat sheet for a reason. So it actually did send you to white, and white auto redirected to SRPA
There you
because
go.
we had to take it out last minute.
So then,
Okay, that's what it was.
yeah. So APRS spelled backwards gives you this page, which is a screenshot. Well, hold on. I should show you that. There you go. Gives you a screenshot of the actual fairgrounds. Those are the 3 buildings of the Greene County Fairgrounds. And then there's a little target that says HC_Charlie. So what was that there, Jason?
So you actually had to go to that physical location, and on the side of the building, you would have found that card.
Hold on, let me pull you up. Fox. All right, so let's key that one in.
The start of the end.
Well, Fox doesn't do it. Fox didn't pull it up.
There's the code on the previous page.
Yeah,
That's
go
the
back to
first
the
part.
page.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
Fox is
that's
one
right.
before.
You had to have both parts. GYT Fox,
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. That's the thing that kind of keeps it honest is
Right,
you
you
get
have to
one
be
part of
there.
the puzzle. Yeah, you get one part of the puzzle on the webpage. You physically have to go somewhere to get the second part of the URL. So even if you're wandering around and you just find that Fox lettering, you don't have the first part of the URL. So there's no way to game the system to get past one of them without actually completing it.
How did Frederick? How did you find white though? .html.
So white came back from when we punched in the DTMF code off of what the thing had read, but it did take us to the APRS map.
Okay,
Josh, it was a redirect. It was a redirect page that we modified that morning.
Got it.
They never saw the white. They never saw the white
that yeah, because
puzzle
we had
that
to
we
skip
had in the
that.
game.
There was another challenge that
Correct.
was actually pretty fun, but
Um,
we'll save that one. So
yeah,
this is
don't
when
give that one away.
no. This is okay. So this is when it starts getting challenging, I guess you could say. Well, it was challenging up to this point, but this is where you guys got kind of stuck, right?
This is where we got lost.
Yeah. So at 146.565, and then it's hamventionchallenge.com/win ? So what happened when you got to that page with the frequency?
That was like 11:10, 11:30, 11:20, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
And I remember that because Michael was like, okay, do you want to stop and get lunch? Because the lunch lines are going to be long and we don't want to get stuck in the lunch lines. And I was like, nope, I could feel it. We're close. So I kind of honed it. I was like, I'm just going to buckle down. And I think he went and actually got some food.
Okay.
But tuned into the radio station, and I'm walking around, and I did like in and out all 3 of the buildings. I walked the forums on the bottom, and I did like one more lap around. And it's like,
what did you hear when you
I
tuned
didn't
into that frequency?
Nothing. We didn't hear anything.
You didn't
So,
hear
yeah,
anything. Okay.
We
Not in
didn't
the
hear
beginning.
anything the whole time I was running around. I ended up picking up like a small family was using that frequency as like comms for themselves. So there was every now and again somebody would come in and be like, "Hey, Dad, where are you?" And then they'd call their call sign, and I'd be like, "Oh, is that it?" No,
They were not
maybe
part of
And
it.
then
They were not
talk-
part of it.
They were not part
Yeah.
of it. So, yeah, I must have walked forever.
Yeah,
trying to
there.
find it.
I didn't take the lunch right away. I helped walk around as well and look for it. I took, again, knowledge from last year, and that's what got us cross paths with the fake fox. So we did find a sign. We didn't see a physical fox there when we went to the ARRL booth, because that's where it ended last year.
Mhm.
And I remembered that. And I saw a win sign, WIN. And so I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves, but
That's
that
where we went next.
brought us to a loop of a website that got us in like this infinite loop.
Yeah.
But we kept walking. I kept walking around. We kind of split up. I went out to each of the booths. I was trying to find anybody that had an extra QR code. I didn't realize they were all the exact same QR code. I was hoping that some of them were different, so I was scanning each individual one, just seeing if I could find anything. But we didn't hear the actual fox until much later in the day when Frederick went outside to check the track, and he walked the whole track. At that point, I had taken my break and ate, and also walked the track and bought Windows 3.1 on floppy for $5.
Nice score to have.
He comes back with this big stack of floppies.
Yeah.
Look what I found.
That's awesome. Do they actually work?
Well, I haven't tested them yet. We'll see if the sun fried them or not. But when we got done with that and he got done with his walk, we went over to, I don't know if it was your guys's I think it was Jason Hammer Radio 2.0's trailer. We went over to that general area, and then we started hearing the fox. Right, and I was like, "There it is."
Later in the afternoon,
But that was later in the afternoon. That was the first time that we heard it.
So I don't know what happens sometimes, because keep in mind we usually try and work with the booth people, the people that have booths, and sometimes things can get knocked over.
Yeah.
So there was in fact 2 foxes, which was, again, a devious idea from Jason to, let's say, well, we did the fox last year as kind of like that was the last challenge. And we're like, well, what if we did 2 foxes? And so then that led to where we put the dummy fox was at the place that the first fox last year was at, the winning fox. We put the dummy fox there. And that led you to which code, Jason, if you took the dummy fox code?
All right, so yeah, both foxes on the same frequency. And guys, remember, they're fox hunting with no directional antenna. All they have is an HT. Although I think I heard somebody say they almost went and bought one of the Arrow antennas.
That was me. I went over to Arrow antennas probably 3 times throughout the day, and it was like, what is the cheapest directional antenna you have for 2 meter? And he's like, got this one, it's like $120, and this one's 140. And I'm like, I know the moment I buy this, put it together, then it'll be like the thing's over, and I'll have a nice new directional antenna for.
You can't go wrong with getting a good antenna at Hamvention. But yeah, so you were almost at the point like I needed something more specialized.
I needed something to just kind of get my bearings, because I know how it works, and I know the theory behind it, but I've never actually done directional hunting without a directional antenna, and it's just not. It was not easy for. I struggled.
Now, this is totally doable without needing a directional antenna. You don't need it, but anyway. So if you go back to the website here, so win ? And if you type in win, so let's do win. And so then you see this. You get this page with these chaotic. Let me really embiggen this. These links. What's this, Jason? What the heck am I looking at?
So this was, well, first of all, we put the false fox intentionally where the winning fox was last year. Again, if you tried to game the system in any way, you might get caught up. But go back to the webpage, Josh, because what this was if you put in the win-win and got to this, it's literally random links. It's called the spider trap. It was some code that I had ran across on GitHub, and Zach figured out how to implement it into the server. So any of those links you click on, Josh, go ahead and just pick any one of them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
you get a new page with new randomly generated links,
and it just keeps
never
going.
Ends.
So
there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it to tell you you're on the wrong fox. There's no indication. So you could literally spend days looking for a clue inside of those links until you just have the brainstorm of, wait a minute, I think we've been duped.
So what happened there, Frederick? You got caught in the spider trap.
For maybe 10 minutes of it, because we went over to that ARRL booth. That's where Michael said the winning one was last year, and we saw the tag, and he's like, that's got to be it. We went to the website and we clicked through a couple of the links, and I have a Windows Surface tablet that I have brought with me. So I was running through them a couple of times, and it was like, this is a whole different URL. There's like this is very clearly like just a a honey trap or something to just goo you down. And it was like, there's no way this is actually part of the thing, because if I find somebody or something like that and they tell me which series to go through, they're so long and so random, there's no way somebody could remember that.
You
this
thought at one point
a trap.
You thought at one point they might have been YouTube
there was
URLs.
there was a thing that's like, maybe let's see if they were YouTube URLs, because the
I can see that.
Previous set, one of the keys, one of the URL parts was GYT, go YouTube maybe.
Okay.
So that was an idea we explored for a couple of minutes, but nothing. So it's like, no, that's not it. There's a lot of like, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that type things that are going when trying to solve these puzzles. So, but yeah, we dumped that, and I was fairly confident it was a fox, and we just couldn't find it.
Okay.
And that's when we started doing more walking.
So at some point, though, you were able to hear the fox.
Yeah. So like Michael said, we had been all over the vendor areas. We had been all over the forum areas. We went outside to the flea market and the horse track. And the only place we really hadn't been was where all of like the campers were for people who had come and were camping out on the fairgrounds. So we started walking around over there, and we got pretty close to like the very edge, and that's when we started hearing it. And I assume that's where maybe somebody moved it or, bumped it or something.
We were worried about that, but the fact you didn't hear it so you should have been able to hear it pretty much any time in the fairgrounds. It should have been strong enough that you would have heard it. So that makes me think that it got bumped or something like that happened. But at some point you started hearing it, because we know
I even stopped
other people started
at the booth it was at.
Okay.
With my radio on while we were walking around.
Okay.
And Michael is actually on the next edition of the amateur extra book. So we stopped and talked with them about that. And
no way.
They had me sign one of them.
Oh, no way.
At that booth.
So we're literally standing next to it at probably noon, maybe 1 o'clock. And we didn't hear it, and we went back on our lookings. But yeah, we finally heard it all the way over there.
Yeah.
And we ran into somebody, and they were like, don't get out of here. You're not supposed to be over here, kind of thing. So we made our way back, and that's when we started trying to like decipher the CW that was in it and try and figure out what message it was giving us.
Okay, so you bumped into Kyle, AA0Z, I think. He was doing something in the gazebo, and Kyle knows CW. And so he was listening to your radio when you guys started hearing it, and I think he said as you guys were walking away, he's like, I'm not sure that's what you're looking for, or something along those lines.
Right, yeah. He said, I don't think that you're looking in the right place or right
Yeah, I was looking in the back of somebody's pickup truck. I was like, it has to be around here or something. This has to be it. Because I was so confident. Because it was the first time that we had heard it, and I was like, oh, this is it. It must be on like
right, because it's so close. Yeah, I could see that. But, so ultimately, though, I think at around this time, Mike kind of catches up with you, right? And he starts helping you. How did that go? What was that like? Or what did you ask him to do, or how'd it go?
Well, in Michael W2 MVP's wisdom, he left his radio at home, or at the hotel rather. So we only had one radio, and we were looking around for it. When we caught back up with Mike, it was like, Mike, we need help trying to find this thing out. And he's like, yeah, we'll start doing around. And now that we had two radios, we took like our cell phones. It's like, okay, you go to that side, I'll go to this side. Let's see what our signal readings are on it, and see if we can try to kind of pinpoint it. And we basically circled around it a few times until we found it.
How long did it take you to find it?
Maybe half an hour, because I think
15,
we caught up
20 minutes after he got involved.
Yeah.
What did we were sure it was Jason at one point. It was like, it's a moving box. It's moving.
That was one thing I thought it was, because I knew that you were, or Michael said that you were APRSing.
Yeah.
And so we were like, maybe we're just in the wrong
we keep crossing
we're just
paths,
walking around him, and we're never going to run into it. Maybe he's the fox or something.
I can't say that that's not a fantastic idea for a future. Make a note of that. A moving fox.
I walked into a booth and you were talking to a vendor. You and Jason were standing right next to each other at one point, and Josh, you looked at me like a ghost. Like you were waiting for me to come up to you, and I was like, "This is it. Maybe I have to go to him." But you looked busy, so I didn't want to bug you. But I thought maybe you were the answer. But we had talked to you guys at one point, and you're like, "No,
and we saw Frederick walk past us a couple of times, and he kind of gave us like a side eye, like, "What are you doing? What's all this?" So we knew you guys were on the trail, but. So you ultimately what was the okay? So Mike got involved. Now you got 2 radios working together. What was the actual, like, if you can recount how'd the DFing go? How'd you approach it actually to track it down?
So at first we had our antennas on our radios, and we just kind of picked 2 spots and see who had a better signal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we would move and see how the signal reports would change. Because on the radio, it actually tells you, how strong your signal's coming
units,
in, 9,
right?
plus 1, plus 2, etc. And then we were just sharing that information over the cellular. And once we had kind of gotten it that it was in the first building. Then in the first building, we were playing with taking the antennas off, because if I recall, the gentleman from last year said that what he did was he took his antenna off and he was using his thumb to kind of cover his thing to use that for direction finding. So we did that, and we were able to kind of circle it down to that one booth. And once we got over there, Mike was like, "It has to be this booth, because this booth is also from Tennessee." And then we started like, okay, now we've got to find it with our eyes, because we're not going to find it with the radios, because we're getting, super strong signal, no antenna from the entire booth. So we walked around a little bit, and I believe Mike into MAK was the one who actually spotted the tag, and then we punched it in, and Mike got some video of that actually on his video that he posted about.
Oh, that's right, he did post a video. Mike, you probably won't be able to drop it. You have to send me a message on Discord, and I'll pull your video up, and I'll drop the link for it if you can send me something on Discord. Or did you already do it, Michael? Sorry, that Michael.
It was N2MAK Mike.
Yeah, Michael, do you have the link? Can you shoot it to me over on Discord, since we're friends over there? Or if you can, while we're chatting, I'll pull it up in a second. So then, okay, you're like, all right, we found something, and you had, so it was. Win
XYZ.
question mark. So if we type in win XYZ.html, that's the completion. So there you go. That was the completion of the Hamvention Challenge. And yeah, and then you could enter your call sign and all that stuff. And this was a smart enough system, which we should get back to talking to Zach and Jason here in a second. This is a smart enough system using the Google form that, like, once we had the first entry, we were like, okay, that's the winner. But we had way more. Well, actually, we only had one other person, right? One other person submit a winner.
Yeah, only one other group, actually. I think it was a radio club. Zach can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a radio club. So I'm assuming that was another team that was actually playing together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was a radio club, and I think I recognized them from about 3 p.m. getting started. Which, if it is the people I recognize that got started about 3 p.m., they finished it in an hour and 50 minutes.
Did they have a directional antenna?
No.
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Zach has a lot of information on this, because Zach has access to basically the back end side of the server, and we were watching different logons. We knew that, Frederick, you were on a Surface. We figured that out because it was a Windows tablet. And Zach's like, he was walking around with a tablet. That must be a Surface, I bet. And sure enough, you walked past us and you had a Surface. And then with the logins and call signs, we were able to actually pull up QRZ pages for the people that checked in. And so we were looking at people's faces on their QRZ pages and seeing them walking around doing the challenge. And we were like, oh, this is pretty cool. So we definitely knew who you were before, while you were running through this. So we saw you as kind of the front runner out there. Zach, is there anything you want to mention kind of on the back end stuff you were doing?
So just as a fun fact, Frederick was the first person to fill out the Google form.
Oh, that is
first person he thought it was at 9:05. It was at 9:05 and 26 seconds.
That's pretty accurate, though. Pretty accurate. So we total. So here's an interesting factoid. So Frederick pulled a an ICOM IC-705 as a winner out of this. And Zach, how many people total? Like, break down pulled up. You were going through some of those metrics beforehand. How many people do we have like on the main page? Just the main page.
265.
Only 265 people. That's wild. And so pretty good odds. I think. What about, or hit us with some of the more metrics? I think you mentioned a couple other things we were talking before the show.
So if people took path number 1 and just pressed get started, didn't watch any of the videos.
Yeah.
There was 79 people that did that.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point forward, because there's multiple paths, the numbers get kind of skewed. But the second most common page hit was the mirrored, which you got from those videos at 35 people. 26 people. And then from that point forward, it dropped down to about 20-ish playing. Most of the people got it to about the halfway point, and then it just dropped down to like 5 until the last like 2 clues.
That's pretty interesting that it was a dedicated group that definitely wanted to pull the radio, and Frederick was definitely probably the most dedicated. Frederick, do you know how many steps you got on that day?
When I got back to the hotel and
passed out immediately, woke up in the morning.
I took a shower because I was just gross.
Yeah.
And when I sat down on my bed, I pull out my phone. They actually went to the bar afterwards, and I pull out my phone, and it's like, man, you hit your step goal like 5 times over. Keep it up. And it was like 19,580 something steps.
Wow.
And I was like, this is insane. And I literally plugged my phone in, and I did. I passed right out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's wild.
Only 11 people, well, actually 10, because Josh watched it before the show.
Yeah.
So only 10 people saw the shortcut video that I put out.
Yeah, the funny thing about the shortcut video, we didn't watch that until like after we were past that step.
Stuck on the Fox at that point.
He didn't read the description. He was kind of skipping around because he was trying to answer it as quickly as he could.
Yep.
And he did all the work. He figured out the puzzle, so now he knows how to do one of those, which is awesome.
Yep. What actually happened with that was we had watched the video that you had posted about last year, and it has pretty much the same thumbnail. So I had assumed it was just the recap from last year. So I didn't watch the video.
Right.
And when we got stuck on the Fox, we took a lot of breaks because it was a lot of walking. And when one of the times we stopped and watched that video, and I learned how to do the one-time pad, and it got me to the mirrored, and I was like, I've already passed this part.
Yeah. Jason made a video on it, and I don't know how much that like drove people to it either. But yeah, there was we mentioned it at the Hamvention forum, so that was a little bit of a bump. But I think people aren't they're not clued into this yet. Like they're not. Nobody's really knows what the heck you guys are doing. Obviously, you guys are running around asking, "Do you have any clues for me?" Like you're running a D&D campaign, and so people weren't really understanding what the heck was going on, which was pretty interesting to watch everybody go through it. So that's awesome though. Now, Frederick, you have your 705. I know that you are a technician. Did you end up upgrading in general, or are you working on that now?
I haven't actually taken the test yet. I believe our local group is going to be doing that during this month, or maybe the beginning of next month. Mm-hmm. So I'll test with them. I actually had planned on taking my test on the second day, but I need to get this figured out as we just kind of powered through it. It's like, I'll just take it when I get back home.
Sure. Yeah. So you've already studied for it, but
yeah, I was crunching questions the entire time there because we had like an 8.5-hour drive to Dayton. So the whole time I was just doing ham study testing all the way through and back.
With that said, though, so you got this 705, you get it home, and then what have you done with it since you got it?
So we cranked it open, got a couple of just local contacts with a signal stick, and then we took it out to one of our local parks and did a POTA activation as well. The 10-meter bands, unfortunately, were not great that day, but Mike into MAK, we did a video on it, and we had a lot of fun that day. We were out there for like 4 hours playing. So playing radio.
It's been fully christened.
Yes.
in the fires of POTA. So that's excellent. That's excellent. Anything funny thing that happened or weird story that you haven't been able to mention between you two? What else happened?
I'll talk about just the very finale of it. So we just found the fox. He has his big tablet, which he loves this thing. It's like his best friend. And he's figuring out how to, type in the website, but his internet goes down. He was hotspotting directly into it. And he's trying to connect to the internet and he's fiddling with his phone. And I'm like, Fred, just use your phone. Like, why?
And the other team like comes into the area too, and they're looking for it too.
Right. Oh, so you saw the other team? You know who they are?
Yeah. So I don't know who they were, but they had come into the area, and we could hear them listening to the fox. So it was like,
the fox is still going off in our ears. We had been listening to it for probably about an hour or so at that point. He's been walking around all day. I've been walking around all day. We're getting a little bit antsy with each other, and I'm just like, Fred, and he's like, fine. And, he gets it on his phone, and then he gets the phone call, and it all was good, but it was just so funny. It was a blast, though. We really appreciate you guys putting this on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have, That's it is a fun story. So yeah, somebody called him. I don't remember who called. Was it Zach? Did we use
it was Zach, yeah.
It was Zach. Yeah, we used Zach's phone to call. I'm impressed by. Sorry, Zach, will you say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I could see when they hit the Google form even before, and I saw their path, like their ID pop up, and I'm like, oh, they got it. So that's when the three of us packed up and started walking that way. As soon as I saw the phone number pop up, I'm like, dial. We're good.
I think I was back at Jason's trailer at that point, like drinking a beer, thinking that we were good for the day. And I'm like, oh, crap.
Yep.
So I got a phone call. Josh, you got to get back to the ICOM booth. And then so I'm like, okay, quick. I'm calling Ray. And I'm like, Ray, get back to the ICOM booth. And he's like, okay, I'm coming right now. I was just about to leave. I'm like, no, if you can, stay. And he did. Thank you, Ray. Gordon West came over once I told him what we were doing. It was really fun. So we got to do, if you saw it on Jason's channel, Cam4ACK, you could see kind of the end, like the wrap up with Frederick getting the 705 and Ray being there and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. It's a lot of effort though, right, Jason? You put in a ton of time to make this happen every year.
Yeah, it is a lot of effort. It's a lot of fun though, trying to come up with challenges that are hard enough without being impossible to solve. And I've run a couple of ideas by Josh, and he went, "You're geeking out way too hard. You got to pull back the reins a little bit."
There are now we have to start ratcheting it up though, because this is the second year where we've given up all the secrets, right? So now we're going to have to come up with new, harder challenges. So that's fun.
Yeah. So I don't know what next year will hold. We'll take a little bit of a break, and somewhere around December or January, we'll start planning for 2025.
2025, boy, crazy. That's a wild year to think we're going to be walking into pretty soon.
Yeah.
But I again, congratulations to Frederick for his stick-to-itness of it. Literally the first call sign that logged in and was the one that ultimately won it. Like literally Ray's gonna get in the car and head back to the hotel to change and get ready for dinner, and you did it. So congratulations, man. You definitely earned it through just determination, right? We got a couple of minutes left, so we'll take questions for anybody who's got any questions regarding the Hamvention Challenge or anything along those lines. We'd love to say, oh, hey, Mike just dropped some gifted memberships. That's great, Mike. You didn't have to do that. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. That's super cool.
One quick thing real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
For Frederick, if you do not want to wait to get your gen when you're ready, us at the HRCC VE team can do a more test for you immediately. If you want to go with your in-person people, fine with us too. But if you want to get general sooner than later, we'll wait here for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I've got some stuff going on this week, and next week I may have some more free time, so I'll look into it.
Excellent. Well, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I haven't seen anything yet, so I'm going to tease the after chat. Guys, we do the after chat after this live stream wraps up. We head on over to the Discord. It's a voice chat platform. I'll be live. I'll be taking YouTube comments and Twitter comments and every other type of comments, as well as Discord. But it's your opportunity to join us to get any of your ham radio questions answered. That's our goal. That's what we're aiming to do. But I do have a bit of a topic that I want to talk about. It's definitely off-topic worthy. Where's my... Oh, my camera's not there. I'm in the void now. Hello, I'm in the void. Hold on, let me plug my camera in. There it is. All right. There we go. That should do it. So, I have a challenge, a very difficult challenge that I've put on myself. Yes, I did the 1 pound POTA challenge, but I'm actually going to New York in June, and I mean like New York City. And there's actually a decent amount of POTAs in Manhattan Island or whatever. I don't know what they call it. I'm not from there. But we got to talk about how to actually activate a POTA surrounded by buildings. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what radio to bring. I don't know, I don't know how to go about this. So that's what's going to be the after chat, is how the heck do you make a POTA in the urban jungle? So that's going to be the side topic for today's after chat. So appreciate you guys coming out for that if you got the time. The get arrested while doing POTA NYC challenge. Yeah, that's also on the table. That's a potential option. That could totally happen. But it turns out there is a ham. I did pull up. By the way, one of these parks, 4 activators, and one guy has 2 activations. It's only been activated 3 times. Even National Parks on the Air, it was only activated once. We're talking about hard parks that I'm going to be nearby that I might be able to try to make something happen. But that individual actually did a talk for the Long Island CW Club, and he had this really cool presentation where he talked about what he does. And of course, he's doing like 100-watt radios. I'm not going to be able to travel with that. So I don't know. We're going to have to talk about it. Guys, anything?
FT8.
I think I'm going to do FT8. That's what we're going to talk about, is what's the best way to do it. And I need to do it like on a phone, on my iPhone though. So we'll probably be trying to cook that up on the after chat, maybe on the KX2, the 705, or maybe even the QDX Mini. I haven't decided yet. So yeah. All right. Anything you guys want to mention before we wrap things up here?
I just want to say thanks for having us on, and thanks for putting this whole challenge on. It was an absolute blast. Like Michael said, I was remote for last year's challenge, and I was just living vicariously through Michael and Mike, and actually getting to participate this time around was amazing. So I really appreciate all the hard work you guys did.
Well, I very much appreciate, again, your determination. And if there's anybody who deserves the radio, it's definitely you. And I hope you have a lot of fun, because literally the 705 is made for this kind of stuff. So I hope you do keep getting out there and having fun doing POTAs and sodas. So yeah,
I can't remember if we mentioned it or not, but this was his first Hamvention.
Yep.
Yes, I don't think we did, because no, you said you couldn't make it last year, so this was the first time, huh?
Yeah, this was my first Hamvention ever as well.
I think I remember you saying that you actually went to last year's website for the challenge.
Yeah.
And you worked through a lot of it at your home location.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a lot of I was working alongside Mike and Michael, they were doing some of the stuff with the radios, and I was doing stuff on my home computer at my house. And I also lived in Tennessee at the time. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. I was pretty close to Jason. And it was pretty cool to just all of that kind of causality that Ham brings together.
His first antenna was a KM4A-CK NFET half-wave.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
He needs to get the BNC version, so he's been waiting for him to get back in stock.
I had 2.
That's cool. Now, I that didn't come up either, but you actually you do things like this, don't you? You participate in little scavenger hunt challenge type things. Isn't that kind of something you're like into?
I do. Yeah, I love I love puzzles, and I'm also really big into computers. So there's a lot of things out there where you can get into just, deep puzzle making or solving and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Do you ever go to DEF CON? Do you ever go to DEF CON?
I have not been. I'd love to go, but
that's like the mecca of these. That's
kind like
of events.
That's the whole we're gonna
screw with you in the hardest way that we can possibly ever screw with you. That is definitely what they do at DEF CON.
Yeah.
Well, I again appreciate everybody being on the Zoom with me this evening. I appreciate you. Everybody next year, we give you clues. It's gonna happen again. You just got to keep your eyes open as to what's around you, and you might have a little fun and maybe even win a radio. So All right, thanks everybody on the Zoom. I'll wrap things up, and I'll talk to you later. If you're joining me over on the Discord, that'd be great. See ya. All right. Well, again, I just my so many things I could say about Jason, KM4ACK. Such a great guy, so smart, and just thinks that step further, right? Takes a couple of extra steps and thinks through a lot of this. Really, just look at his videos, like the time he takes to make 73 Linux and all the other stuff he does, like that little. It's an engineering mind. He's an engineer. He just, maybe not by trade, but he is. I love this idea. I love the amount of effort he puts into it. I'm glad I can help in some ways, but he deserves all the support. So please click the description and go to KM4ACK's channel and subscribe to him. He truly deserves it. And the good thing is he makes really good videos that are really helpful. I'm running Linux Mint right now with 73 Linux on one of my Jankopotamuses, Potomi. It's great. Anyway, I want to say another big thank you to Ray Novak at ICOM and everybody at ICOM for continuing to support our shenanigans that we get up and into. Thank you so much for letting us have the carrot that really makes people want to do this. Because if we just said, I don't know, you get to the end, you could have some stickers. I'll give you one of Mike's all-day IPAs at Jason's trailer. But, I mean, that's not much of a draw. So the fact that we can actually give a radio away actually makes this a really, really cool thing. Yeah, seriously, the 705 is the golden carrot. Yeah, for so many people, particularly to come into Hamvention, it's a fantastic radio. They're looking for that kind of stuff. Boy, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'm going to go ahead and throw this over to the Patreon thank yous, and we'll let that run. After chat, again, it's all about answering your questions. That's our goal. We'll get right into that right in the beginning. But I do want to take a little bit of a deep dive. I've got a number of radios that I could pack up in a bag and bring out with me. So we got to talk antennas, because like this. So it's two parks. It's Federal Hall and maybe the African Burial Memorial. That is more of a hard place to get into. It's like actually. There's a fenced in area, but I could probably stand next to it and still count. But you're literally like in the city. And so I don't know how to navigate that yet, because it will be a weekday that I'm likely going to be hitting it. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting challenge, an interesting discussion. I have a number of options for computers and tablets and phones. So if you join me over on the after chat, we'll get started on that after we take some of your questions. And we always give a priority to those that are there for the first time. We take your questions first. You get all of your answers. Well, most of your answers. I don't know if all of them, but we'll do our best. Yeah, and a huge shout out to all of my patrons. You guys allow me to do a lot of this stuff and to participate in things like the Hamvention Challenge and all that other fun stuff. So I really do appreciate it. Next week, which technically this is the first, but we needed to do this because of Hamvention. Next week will be the next patron picks, which is going to be on a beginner's approach to POTA and SOTA. So you're talking like technicians, you're talking maybe new generals, or just people who've never done Parks on the Air before or Summits on the Air. I may bring in some heavy hitters in both those areas to join us on that discussion. Otherwise, it'll just be me, and we'll talk about how I've gone about doing all that stuff, and it's always a lot of fun. So thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to wrap things up here. 73, enjoy the memes, and I'll see you shortly on the Discord. Take it easy. Oh yeah, and go check out T-Rex Labs for a collaboration that Isaac and Jason and the Tech Prepper did. It was a really good video. So go check that out as well. 73, everybody. See you shortly.